looked up the break. Not a word did we say. It was almost like being in love. With your arm linked in mine, made the world kind of fine. It was almost like being in love.
So hi, my name is Kevin Tarta, and I have a whole stack of questions here from fans here in St. Petersburg and in Russia that I'm going to try and answer. First one that we're going to start with today is, in Russia it is Mother's Day at the end of November. It will be very interesting to know about your mother. What role did she play in my life? And sorry about this very personal question. That's sweet. My mom was very important in my life as a child. She was very loving, very understanding. She had a great sense of humor. She was very active, and she had a real passion for life. And she gave that to all of my brothers and my sister. And I'm very thankful for the influence she had on me. At home, she played a lot of musical records when I was a boy. So during the day, I heard a lot of musical. And my dad loved classic music. So at night, in the evening, when he came home from work, we heard a lot of classical music, a lot of opera. So both my mom and my dad were really fun and really had a lot of energy and a lot of Lebenselan. You know, they loved their lives, and they really gave us that passion and energy to all of us kids, 5 of us. And so I'm really thankful to my mom and dad. They really helped and supported me in my early years to become a musician. And so happy Mother's Day. To answer the question, only one. Okay, so that's the first one. In 2019 is the premiere of Dr. Zhivago for Deutschland, for Germany. Yeah. And your participation was announced. It's important for you to have a good literature corps there. Yes, it's important for me to have, it's important altogether, not just for me, but to have a good story basis for a musical. And Dr. Zhivago is a wonderful production. I just saw it, the German premiere production in Leipzig last weekend. So I have a pretty good idea how the piece is musically and on stage, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great piece, and it's a good role that I have. And I play Tanya's father, Alexander, and the music is wonderful. And I'm really excited to see how we will do it in Tecklenburg, open air. It will be exciting. Yeah. They ask here, do you like to read? And what books would I recommend for everyone to read? I think one of my favorite books that I always keep by my bed, you know, to read all the time is, actually there's 2 books from him, but from Eckhart Tolle. He's a German guy that lives in America, and his writes in English, The Power of Now. Great book, because it teaches, the book, he talks about how the brain works and how our emotions and how the intellect works. So it's a book that teaches you how to use your mind. When we go to school, we learn a lot of things about how to use our mind as far as remembering things and many things, but we never really understand how the brain works. And the brain is really kind of a monkey thing. You have to train it. Otherwise, it will make you be like this. And I see a lot of people like this. And I think, it's too bad. It's a great book. And it's fun. It's really a fun reading. It's very interesting. And it's not that hard to read. Which role influenced you the most as an actor and predetermined your future creative path? Which role? I would say wasn't so much the roles as just working in the theater, you know, having a chance to perform. It challenged me all the time. And so each role, I always believe, comes to me at the right time, and it's something that is right for me then to play and to learn from. So I don't think about so much the roles I've done in the past or roles I will do in the future. I try to stay, like the book The Power of Now says, stay focused in the moment and do what I have now with everything I have. And that usually brings me the next thing. And I can grab from the past to be in the moment, be ready for the future. What is the absolute art for you, for me? What is absolute art? I think absolute art is the art of living. Because only when you really are alive and awake can you make something that I think is interesting for other people. And as an artist, you are challenged and like gefordert to be more than you would just be comfortably, because you're in a position to say something. You played in the musical Ludwig II, which tells the story of the famous Bavarian king. In your opinion, does his passion for art, which made this man famous, justify the desire to give everything for it? Are you an easily carried away person? Could you repeat the exploits of Ludwig? That's cute. Yes, Ludwig is a very, very interesting person. You know, he was a very, I think, misunderstood, and but a very, very creative and eccentric person, a true artist spirit. And I've really enjoyed reading about him and knowing what he does, what he did. And I've seen all of his palaces and a lot of what he's done in books, as well as visiting them. The question is here, it's about giving everything for your passion to art and music. And I think definitely you have to do that as an artist and as a person that has a responsibility or a special thing like a king. You have to put everything you have into it. But if you're smart and you have a regular life and you put everything you have into that, then you can have a pretty special life too. And you don't have to be the king of Bavaria. If you were offered two different roles at the same time, and one was with a complex makeup, like a vampire or something like this, or a beast, or another role that was a more modern role where there wasn't a big makeup and costume thing, which role would I prefer? I've spent so many hours of my life in a makeup room that I'm very glad when I don't have to have a lot of makeup on. Although those are very cool roles. They're very fun and they're very special. But I do not need to do a big monster role again right now. I'm very happy to... I like historical roles a lot, you know, and so I think that's really fun to play. But I'm also open to playing somebody who's very contemporary as well. You are a creative person, but even you, I think, has difficult moments and fatigue. What helps you cope with it? What supports you in those moments? Is there something inside you, or is there people who support you at such times? Yes, I have. I'm a very creative person, and I try very hard to do as many things as I possibly can, which sometimes makes me crazy. But, and I do get tired. I get tired more now than I did 10 years ago. But I always find a new energy when I get out in the nature, or if I get my sport, and when I see my friends. And thank God I have a wonderful support team behind me from my management and my musicians and people that I work with that really help me to be able to do all the things I decide that I have to do. If all art aspires to the conditions of music, all the science aspires to the conditions of mathematics, What about you? And what do I have as hobbies besides music? I'm not quite sure what Marino is asking, but I definitely, they definitely do influence each other, music and mathematics and sciences. I think that's all part of the energy matrix, you know? I think that's what he really meant, George Santayana. And the more you are awake, the more you pick up on all the energy that's in music, in life, on a stage, and you can experience so much more if you're awake to it. Hobbies. I like to, probably the thing I would do the most if I had time to do more hobby ways, I would love to have an enormous garden. A really big garden with lots to do, and I don't mean just vegetables, I mean like a real garden, like a British garden or a French garden or a little house with a wonderful garden. I love to garden, and when I can lose time outside when I'm working in a garden, like that's 3 hours, gone. And I come in feeling great, because my hands and my body. I love to ski, so I like to be in the mountains. And I love to be out in the nature and walk. I like to swim. I like to listen to music. Yeah, I listen to a lot of music, actually. And when I listen to music, I don't just have it play in the background. I really listen to it. Yeah. So I have a wonderful stereo system at home. And I like to read. And I like to meditate. I need quiet time. So that keeps me pretty busy. What language would you like to learn and why? What are your feelings when you performed on stage for the first time? So it's 2 questions. I studied, of course, German and learned it. I studied French and I sort of know it. I studied Italian, I sort of know it. I would love to speak more Italian. I really like Italian. It's fun and it's got a lot of passion and it's and every time I hear Italians speaking, I start to smile and laugh because it's so it's just got a lot of power in it. I don't know if I have the brain or the passion to learn as hard a language as Russian, but the more I'm in Russia, I do think I would wish I could speak more of it. I think the first time I was on a really big stage was in the opera in Seattle Opera. And it was the opera Mephistopheles from Guido. And I was a drummer boy in the chorus. And I was like 10 years old. And I had me and this other little boy. And we walked out. We got these costumes in the second act, the drummer boys, for the May Tanz in der Mai, the dance in the May. You know, on the maypole with all the ribbons and all the ballet and everybody. And we walked out and I was like, whoa. It was really cool. I really liked it. I liked the rehearsals. I liked the performances. I liked all the costumes. I liked all the people. I liked the dimension. I liked the power. The singers were like, whoa. And I think that really influenced me tremendously as a boy. And I couldn't wait to get back into a theater after those, you know, months of that performance, rehearsals and prepare. It was like 2 months. Boy, I was done. I was born for theater. I knew it. And what question would you like to answer, but they never asked me? This is really good. Well, usually what I do is, if I don't like the questions, I make up questions and then just put them into the interview, and then I get to say what I want to anyway. Okay, what helps me make the right decision in difficult situations? There's 2 kinds of situations. One is a difficult situation where you have to make a decision right now. And then there's the other kind of a difficult situation where you have time. And I always think in a difficult situation, time is the best thing to have. You need sometimes a little bit of time to think about, you know, what's hanging on the whole situation and how many people are involved in this situation. So you have to have some time to think about it. And then in the situations where you don't have much time, you have to make a decision right away. Then I think it's good if along the way you've had your antennas up and are listening and looking and know, so that you can make a decision fast. And if you have no clues, then I try to make a decision that then that I know I can work with. I can live with it, and I can work on something, so if we need to, we can make some new decisions pretty soon afterwards. Nothing is ever in concrete, I think. So you shouldn't get nervous with decisions. You should make one and do it, but you can always change it. You know, not change it, but work with it. And that's a good way to do it. Also, what did you want to be when you were a child? And I think when I was a little boy, I wanted to be a doctor, because my dad was a doctor. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I liked it because I could help people. I thought that was a nice thing. And then I wanted to be an architect when I was a little bit older, because I liked to draw and I liked architecture and, you know, buildings. I was really fascinated. And then I discovered music. And after that, music. Have you been to many cities in Russia? And which ones do you like more? So, I've only been to St. Petersburg, now 5 times, and Samara once. And I have to say that St. Petersburg is very special to my heart, because it was my first city in Russia. But I did have a great time when I was in Samara. That was really interesting. And they had a wonderful orchestra that I got to sing with there too, which was really exciting. And the people were wonderful to me. But I'm glad to be in St. Petersburg again. And I hope to get to Moscow and see that sometime soon. And I'd love to sing there. And I'm trying to work on that. So, and then we'll see. In different musicals, you played both main roles and supporting roles. And why do you agree to play small roles? Is it important for a famous actor like you to maintain your celebrity status quo? Big roles are nice. They're fun. You usually get paid more money. So that's good. But small roles are really wonderful too, because you have a chance to focus all of your talents and all of in some smaller scene, and you have to be really precise how you put the role together in that short time. And it's really exciting to do it, to play it, and you don't have to sing as much. So then you're free to do other things, like go to St. Petersburg and sing a concert, which is great. I was never in the music or as performer to be a star, you know. I think that's sort of like, if you're going to do that, then you're going to go, because that's what happens, you know. So it's about the process. I like rehearsals. I like preparing. I like doing the whole process. I don't do it to be on the top, you know. So the top is relative. What's the top? What's a star? A star is being really good and having a good life. I think that's more important than, yeah. Do you have a story that you would like to see in the form of a musical, but no one has done it yet? Well, actually, yes. And one of them was Dr. Zhivago. I always thought that was a great thing for a musical, and I'm really glad that Julie Simon has written this wonderful piece. And she was actually there in Leipzig when I was there to see it last weekend. So I met her, and I think it's a great thing that Dr. Zhivago is finding now a musical. It's more of an operetta, but it's a beautiful production, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. What does work in St. Petersburg mean to you? Name one emotion. There's a German word that's called Freude, which means joy, happiness, yeah. And for me, it's really exciting to be here. It's really, it's so different, you know, because I live in Europe, but I grew up in America. And in America, they say awful things about Russia. They really, you know, you learn this as a boy, that Russia is sort of a, you know, this distant enemy thing, you know, all this old, from the 50s, you know, and the 60s and whatever. And then you come here, and then it's like, people are just like everywhere else. It's like, you know, it's so, and you think, what is going on with all this politics and all of this madness, you know? And once you get here, and you start meeting the people and spending time with them, it's like, it's a wonderful place. It's a different culture. They think a little different. So I'm really glad to be able to be here and experience it for myself and be the way I am and do what I do and sort of in my own small way make these two countries a little closer. And that's about all I can do, you know. So, and I'm really blessed and thankful that I can sing, and that my voice and my music has given me a chance to come here. Ekaterina wants to know, what is it more important to have talent or to be hardworking? Well, it helps if you have talent. But talent won't do anything unless you work hard with it and on it. And so if you have talent, you have to work really hard if you want to do something with it. Because lots of talented people are running around doing other things, but never had a chance to really focus, and for different reasons. Sometimes their life didn't allow them to. So, but if you have talent and you have a chance, and you work hard, then I think it's really important to learn that early. And I know this from the Russian music schools, that's really strong. You know, if you get pushed, like in Japan or America or Russia or Germany, and I think that's great, because then your life is more dynamic, stronger, and yeah, it's good. Imagine that you were born as a female in any historical period. Who would I like to be? A famous historical person from film or literature, a female character, or maybe you would like to have chosen the fate of an ordinary person. If you happen to be a woman, who would I like to be and why? That's a wild question. I grew up really strict Catholic, you know, which didn't have any reincarnation things really in it. But I like the Eastern philosophies, and I've read a lot about Buddhism and the Indonesian traditions and the Asian, Eastern religious and philosophies. So I think, when I think about it, I feel like I've had several lives. And I know I've had lives as a woman. So I've done that. I changed the question, you know, to fix it, like I said. So I think I'm really happy to be right where I am now and to be a man in this life. And I don't want to be some woman in another lifetime or another epoch. And I don't want to be a woman now, because I think women have the hardest lives Really, they do. And I think I had that a couple of times with a lot of children too. And I'm like, whoa, no, not this time. That's all the time we have today because I have now a rehearsal. But it was really fun to answer all of your questions, and thank you for sending them. And I look forward to seeing you in the concerts and performances, and maybe when you're in Germany or wherever I'm singing, backstage or at the stage door. And thank you so much for the questions, and I wish you guys all a really nice Mother's Day and a good end of the year, a Happy New Year, an American Christmas, and a Russian Christmas in the new year. Thanks, ciao.
Remember when your dreams have